The morning sun rose over Delhi, its golden light cutting through the fog that had settled overnight, but even the brilliance of daylight couldn't wash away the darkness that thrived behind closed office doors. Raghav, a young investigative journalist, stood outside the Ministry of Infrastructure, clutching his camera and a notepad. His latest assignment wasn't just another story, it was a mission to expose a network of corruption that had long drained the lifeblood of the nation's progress. He had received an anonymous tip about a senior bureaucrat named Mahesh Chaturvedi, a man whose reputation for efficiency was nothing more than a mask hiding a web of deceit. Raghav's instincts told him this story would be bigger than anything he'd done before. He entered the ministry building pretending to be a researcher gathering data on development projects. The clerks, too busy with their chai breaks and gossip, paid him little attention. He wandered through the corridors until he reached the records room, where files dating back decades were stacked like monuments to forgotten promises. Hidden among them were documents revealing a pattern, fake tenders, inflated budgets, and ghost companies that existed only on paper. Every rupee meant for rural development had been siphoned into private accounts, leaving villages in ruin while the officials drove luxury cars. As he pieced together the evidence, he realized Mahesh wasn't working alone. The corruption extended into every department, from construction to health and education. Contractors bribed officers to approve substandard work, and politicians looked the other way in exchange for kickbacks. Raghav decided to confront one of Mahesh's former assistants, a nervous man named Deepak who had recently resigned. They met in a dimly lit cafe far from the city center. Deepak's trembling hands revealed more than his words. He confessed that Mahesh and his team manipulated files, erased audit trails, and even threatened honest officers who refused to comply. When Raghav asked for proof, Deepak handed him a USB drive containing emails, transaction records, and internal memos, all pointing to a conspiracy that reached high into the government. That night, Raghav returned to his small apartment, his mind racing with possibilities. He uploaded the data to his encrypted drive and began drafting his first report. He knew once it went public, there would be no turning back. But before he could publish, danger came knocking. The next morning, his editor received a call from an unknown number warning them to drop the story. Raghav's phone buzzed with threats, and a black SUV began following him everywhere. Still, he pressed on. He reached out to an honest IAS officer named Kavita Mehra, who had once exposed a similar case in her district. She agreed to meet and share what she knew. Kavita revealed that Mahesh's network operated like a mafia, bribing ministers, manipulating tenders, and silencing anyone who spoke out. They don't fear the law, she said bitterly, because they are the law. Her words strengthened Raghav's resolve. Days later, Raghav planned a sting operation. With hidden cameras and microphones, he captured a secret meeting where Mahesh accepted a bag full of cash from a contractor in exchange for approving a fake project. The evidence was explosive. He edited the footage through the night, his heart pounding as he realized the magnitude of what he'd uncovered. But before the story could air, someone broke into his apartment. The hard drive was gone, and his laptop lay smashed on the floor. Raghav stood frozen, knowing they were now coming after him. He still had backup copies stored safely elsewhere, but the warning was clear. As he looked out over the silent city, he whispered to himself, "You can destroy my files, but not the truth." The battle had only begun. Episode 2 would not be about fear, it would be about justice, no matter the cost. The night after the break-in, Raghav didn't sleep. Every sound outside his window made his heart race. He had always believed in the power of truth, but now he was realizing how dangerous that belief could be. Still, the stolen hard drive wasn't the end. His backup copy was hidden in a safe locker at a friend's office, and the footage of Mahesh's bribery meeting was still intact. He decided to meet his editor early the next morning to discuss the next step. When he reached the office, he found the atmosphere tense. Police officers were waiting inside, pretending to investigate a cyber complaint, but Raghav could see through the act. Someone high up was trying to silence the report before it aired. His editor, a cautious but principled man named Ajay Verma, handed Raghav a small slip of paper and whispered, "Go underground for a few days. They're watching us." Raghav nodded and left through the back door, disappearing into the crowded lanes of Old Delhi. He found shelter in a small guest house run by a retired journalist who sympathized with his cause. From there, he contacted Officer Kavita Mehra again, who promised to provide him official documents linking Mahesh's team to a recent highway project scam worth crores. She risked her career to leak them. Raghav began connecting the dots, building a web of evidence that not only exposed Mahesh but also implicated a powerful minister. Every revelation made the story bigger and riskier. Late one night, he received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end said calmly, "Drop the story, Raghav. Or we'll make sure you're never right again." His hands shook, but his mind was steady. Fear had no power over someone who had already chosen truth over safety. He recorded the call and added it to his growing file of evidence. A few days later, Kavita called with urgent news. The minister's personal assistant had been caught transferring money offshore. It was the missing piece Raghav needed. Together, they decided to take the evidence to the Central Bureau of Investigation. But before they could meet, Kavita's car was found crashed on the outskirts of the city. The police claimed it was an accident, but Raghav knew better. Her courage had cost her life. The loss hit him hard. He sat alone in the guest house that night, staring at the city lights, his grief slowly turning into anger. "If they can kill honesty," he muttered, "then I'll make sure the whole world sees their crime." He decided to release the story independently, without waiting for any channel's approval. He uploaded the video online under the title "India's Corrupt Babus Exposed," showing the sting footage, the leaked documents, and the story of Kavita's sacrifice. Within hours, it went viral. Millions watched as the truth unfolded on their screens: officials caught taking bribes, ministers named in scandals, and the tragic fate of an honest officer. Protests erupted outside government buildings, and opposition leaders demanded investigations. Mahesh Chaturvedi vanished from public view, while the ministry scrambled to deny all allegations. But victory was short-lived. Raghav's identity was exposed, and now he was being hunted. His photo appeared on television, labeled as a traitor journalist, spreading false propaganda. His bank account was frozen, his phone hacked, and his family threatened. Yet amidst the chaos, messages of support poured in from ordinary citizens, calling him a hero. Underground networks of journalists began to protect him, smuggling him from one safe house to another. Episode 4 unfolded with Raghav realizing that truth doesn't always bring peace, it brings war. One night, as he prepared his next upload, a message appeared on his screen from an unknown source: "We have more files. Let's finish what you started." It was Kavita's colleague, another insider ready to expose the final layer of corruption. Raghav smiled for the first time in days. The system might be powerful but not invincible. He opened the new folder, the files shining like sparks in the dark. The fight was far from over, it had only just begun. The new files Raghav received were more explosive than anything he had uncovered before. They contained signed contracts, confidential communications, and secret recordings linking the minister's office to multiple fake infrastructure projects across several states. Billions of rupees had been funneled through shell companies, with each layer of the scam meticulously designed to hide the real culprits. The documents even revealed how senior bureaucrats received properties abroad in exchange for approving tenders. It was no longer just about one corrupt officer, it was an entire machinery of deception. As Raghav studied the files, he felt a mix of fear and determination. He knew once he made this public, he would not just be exposing individuals but shaking the foundation of power itself. He contacted Ajay Verma again, who had been secretly supporting him despite government pressure. Ajay arranged a secret meeting with a few honest journalists who wanted to help. They decided to release the story internationally through independent news portals to prevent censorship. However, the government had already launched a counter-campaign. Every channel was airing stories portraying Raghav as a foreign agent trying to defame the nation. Fake cases were filed against him for spreading misinformation, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. Raghav moved constantly, changing his location every few hours. Despite being hunted, he refused to stop. One night, while hiding in a safe house on the outskirts of Mumbai, he got a message from Deepak, the former assistant who had first leaked information. Deepak wanted to meet urgently, claiming he had something that could end everything once and for all. When Raghav met him in an abandoned warehouse, Deepak was terrified. He handed Raghav a hidden camera recording showing the minister himself accepting cash and signing off on illegal contracts. "This is your proof," Deepak said, his voice trembling. "But be careful. They already know I talked." Before Raghav could respond, a car screeched nearby. Men in black suits stormed in, and gunshots echoed. Raghav barely escaped through the back door while Deepak fell, silenced forever. Running through the rain-soaked streets, Raghav clutched the memory card that could change the fate of the nation. He knew the footage was too important to keep hidden. He reached a small press office where Ajay was waiting, and together they uploaded the video to multiple cloud servers and international networks. Within hours, global media picked it up. The scandal exploded like wildfire. The footage played across international headlines, forcing the Indian government to announce an emergency inquiry. Citizens filled the streets, demanding justice. Protests spread to every major city, and social media was flooded with one slogan, #ExposeTheBabus. By the time episode 6 began, Raghav was no longer just a journalist, he had become a symbol of resistance. The truth had shaken the corridors of power, and the minister along with several top officials was suspended pending investigation. But the fight was far from over. A secret intelligence unit was formed to capture Raghav and retrieve the original files. He had become too dangerous for the system to ignore. Living in hiding, Raghav communicated with his supporters through encrypted messages. His story inspired young journalists, activists, and citizens to come forward with their own evidence of corruption. The movement grew stronger every day, turning into a wave the government could no longer control. One evening, Raghav decided to make one last broadcast. Sitting before a small camera, his face lit only by candlelight, he spoke directly to the people. "This is not just my fight," he said, his voice steady but emotional. "It's ours. Every rupee stolen from the poor, every lie told to protect the corrupt, it's an insult to this nation. If I disappear, let my truth live on." The video went viral within minutes. That same night, security forces surrounded his safe house. Raghav managed to escape once more into the chaos, leaving behind a legacy that could not be erased. The story of India's corrupt Babus was no longer just a report, it had become a revolution.